For more on the president's trip to Asia and his relationship with our allies in the region, let's turn to senior political analyst Britt Hume. Good evening, Britt. Your thoughts on the importance of this trip for the president?
I think it's a very important trip. I think easily the most important that the president has taken so far. The president seems to behave differently on a world stage than he does back home. The kind of disputes that he gets into, the Twitter wars and so on, seem to be set aside in favor of his desire to build these better relationships abroad. He seems to have certainly done that with Prime Minister Abe, with some assistance, it should be noted, from their golf games that they've had together, which have met with so much snark back here in the United States. And even, with the Chinese leader, how well that will go obviously remains to be seen. We'll know more about that later in this trip. It does seem, Brett, that the trade issues that may unite and or divide the countries on this trip have been set aside and priority to, at least to some extent, and priority given to security issues, principally North Korea. And Prime Minister Abe's remarks about that and his seeming solidarity with U.S. policy at the moment was certainly interesting to hear.
Yeah. For all of the troubles, as you mentioned, that President Trump has at home, obviously the Russia investigation continues, low approval ratings, he gets a lot of grief in all kinds of media coverage. You just don't see it over here. You see a lot of a different level of respect, not only for the presidency, but President Trump in the way that he operates differently than any president has ever done before.
That's true, Brett. It's also probably worth noting here that in the case, for example, of Prime Minister Abe, you heard him mention in his discussion with you the security pact that we have with Japan. So when you look at the world from the point of view of Tokyo, looking at the United States with threats in the region potentially growing and others potentially arising to follow them, naturally, he would like to be able to look at the United States and say, well, I have a strong friend and partner there, just for purposes of fulfilling that agreement. And you heard what he said about missile defense. He certainly seems like he would like it very much if a missile were on the way to Japan, for the United States to shoot it down, or perhaps for Japan itself to do so. So out of these needs may arise stronger relationships that might otherwise exist. And I think the president, when he's outside the United States, I think he feels he has at home at least some strong political instincts which may guide his behavior. But he gets treated with respect around the world. He likes that. He has insecurities. He doesn't have them bruised by what goes on. And he behaves, as I mentioned earlier, he behaves differently. I think he's serious. I think he realizes he doesn't know everything there is to know about the world, and his behavior is different, markedly so, I think.
Yeah, Britt, as always, thank you.